Good evening, everyone. The time is now 6:03 p.m., and we will now begin the first of 3 virtual public information sessions for the Freeport and Vicinity Coastal Storm Risk Management Project. On behalf of the project team, we thank you for your time and interest in the Freeport project. My name is Connor Stokes. I will be assisting the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and Velasco Drainage District with this evening's public information session. Before we proceed with our agenda, I would like to review some housekeeping items to help the meeting run smoothly. The chat feature is open for you to provide your email if you'd like to be added to our email distribution list. Please do not unmute your phone or WebEx audio connection with the button at the bottom of your screen. As you think of questions for the project team this evening, please enter them into the WebEx chat feature. We will collect these questions and later, following the presentation, select questions will be presented to our panel for their comment and response. Please note that we may not have time to respond to all questions submitted during the meeting this evening. However, we encourage you to submit questions or inquiries to the project email address shown on screen at this time. Please understand that this public information session is not considered a formal NEPA public meeting. Therefore, any questions or responses provided today will not become a part of the administrative record. However, we value your participation, and we look forward to taking and responding to your questions after the presentation. I will now introduce the project team. From the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, we are joined by Eddie Irigoyen, Engineers Project Manager for the Freeport Project, Ben Caldwell, Corps of Engineers Lead Engineer for the Freeport Project, Tim Nelson, Corps of Engineers Real Estate Specialist, Jeff Pinsky, Corps of Engineers Chief of Environmental Compliance, and Dr. Kelly Burks-Coates, Corps of Engineers Project Manager for the Sabine Pass to Galveston Bay Coastal Storm Risk Management Program. And from the Velasco Drainage District, we are joined by Superintendent Chris Gallion and Assistant Superintendent David Youngblood. During the meeting today, Dr. Kelly Burks-Coates and Superintendent Chris Youngblood will provide opening remarks, followed by an informational presentation about the Freeport project from the Corps of Engineers and Velasco Drainage District. After the presentation, the project team will take and respond to questions about the project that have been submitted in the WebEx chat feature. We will now begin the presentation portion of the meeting with opening remarks from Dr. Kelly Burks-Coates and Superintendent Chris Gallion. Kelly?
Thank you, Connor, and thanks to all of those joining us tonight. We're really excited to have you here. We trust that most of you are familiar with the project, and this isn't the first time that you've received information on the Sabine to Galveston or S2G program and the Freeport project itself. But if it's your first time, we're excited to have you here, and we're delighted that you could take some time out of your day to join us and get caught up with where we are on the study. Understand also that we plan to continue having these meetings over the course of the project. We'll do this on a regular basis. Perhaps every 2 to 3 months, we'll come back and give you an update and allow again for questions and answers so that we can keep you apprised of where we are and where we're going. This is an important project, and your input is vital to the process. And so we look forward to hearing from you tonight and for the rest of the project. With that, I'll hand it over to our cost share sponsor at Velasco, Mr. Chris Gallion.
Hello, thank you for attending this public awareness meeting. We'd also like to thank the Corps for setting up these meetings. And Velasco and the Corps entered into a PPA, or Public Partnership Agreement, in March of this year. We at the Velasco Drainage District are looking forward to working with the Corps and you, the community, citizens, to see the development and completion of this project. We hope these proceedings are informative, and beneficial to y'all. Back to you, Connor.
Thank you, Chris and Kelly. We will now proceed with the project presentation from Corps of Engineers Project Manager, Eddie Irigoyen. And remember, as you think of questions for the project team, please enter them into the WebEx chat feature. Eddie?
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Again, my name is Eddie Irigoyen. I'm the project manager for the Freeport section of the Sabine Galveston project. So again, I do want to thank you all for joining us, and everybody can see my screen, right? Sure. Okay, so the Sabine, Galveston, Freeport, and Vicinity is one of the components of the S2G program, which also includes Port Arthur, which is an existing system, just like Freeport, and a brand new system in Orange. This will be the first step towards a more resilient coast. And the purpose of this project really is to reduce the impact from potential flooding due to storm surge. As you can see here, we are taking a regional approach towards stronger coast. So we have the S2G program with Freeport, the two existing systems for Freeport and Port Arthur, and a brand new system in Orange, approximately 26, 27 miles. We also have the Coastal Texas study, which would be the barrier, and also the ecosystem restoration project, which I do want to mention with Coastal Texas study. The Chiefs report just got signed. So it was published on our Facebook page yesterday, so please feel free to go out there and check it out. So that's a major accomplishment for us, along with the S2G program and the Coastal Texas study. It shows the importance of again, protecting our coast and making this our coast more resilient towards future storms. So this system, essentially, if you call it, it'll be a system of systems. It's a comprehensive investigation of solutions to current and future coastal storm risk management problems in our coast. So real quick background on the project. Again, the S2G program consists of 3 elements. It's improving the system at the 2 existing systems at Freeport and Port Arthur. As you can see on the Freeport, we're not improving the entire system, just really, and we'll go in more detail on the contract in a couple minutes. But the sections that are more bold, those are the areas that we're improving. So and S2G, we're also improving the Port Arthur system. And then again, we're doing a brand new system in Orange. I do want to mention that for Orange, since it is a brand new system, there's also a mitigation portion for them. Currently, only the Orange system has the mitigation contract. So being that Freeport and Port Arthur, we're working on the existing levee. There is no, when we did the report and the study, there was no need for mitigation. So this project, the Sabine Galveston, was authorized and with the Bipartisan Budget Act in 2018. This was post-Harvey. So right after Harvey, the Bipartisan Act got approved, and this gave us not only the authority to go straight into construction, but it gave us it was fully we got fully funded for all 3 elements of the project. So, and again, our project sponsor is Velasco Drainage District, and our total estimated cost is $704 million. One thing that I do want to add, since I did mention post-Harvey, I do want to emphasize that even though Harvey was a rain event, so this project is for coastal storm risk management. So the study was done actually after Ike. So even though we got the budget after Harvey, this is not to reduce flooding from rain, it's to reduce our coastal storm risk from coastal flooding. So, just I know there's always a confusion on that, so I just wanted to point that out. So some of the project features that we'll be doing is replacing 5.25 miles of flood wall. We'll be replacing the eye walls with T-walls. Post Katrina, we made those changes to change from eye walls to T-walls, and these, as you can see here, those will be new walls, which is really an upside down T, and those are more sturdy concrete wall shapes. We'll be doing levee racing through different areas along the system. The height of the levee that we're being raised does vary on different areas. So, I mean, we can go into more detail as we explain the contracts later on, or as the project moves on, we'll be updating the public. One other feature that we'll be doing will be a navigable gate. So we'll be doing a vertical lift gate. Here you can see that we'll be doing a similar lift gate like it's already there in the Freeport area. I'm pretty sure everybody's familiar with this one. We originally had a sector gate, but we went back and looked at the cost between a sector gate and lift gate, and the lift gate did come out cheaper. And also being that our non-federal sponsor, Velasco Drainage District, is more familiar with the maintenance and operability of the lift gate, we decided to go with the lift gate. We'll be having several road closures and railroad closures. We'll be having approximately 10 of those through the project, and those are located in the area and for contracts FPV 03 and 04, which you'll see the area of those contracts later on in this presentation. Quick timeline for our project. So, like I mentioned earlier, this project, the feasibility study got completed in 2017. With Chief's report got signed at the end of the year, and then right after Harvey, it got authorized by Congress. Not only did it get authorized to go straight into construction, but it got fully funded. We awarded our first contract in 2019. That was to get our AE on board. The majority of this contract, actually 100% of this contract, will be designed by an AE firm. And then we're currently in the design phase. Many of you have probably seen there's a couple of things going on right now. We have been doing some surveying. So I'm pretty sure you've all seen some surveying out there, doing some surveys, some surveyors. And then we're also doing some geotech work. So the geotech work started this summer. So that's been going on through most of the summer. We're about probably 75% complete with the geotech work. So we have been coordinating not only with the public, but also with all the industry out there. So we've been working very closely with VDD and all industry out there to get the information that we need to complete our design. Currently, our design is scheduled to complete 2022, and then our construction contract will be awarded in spring of 2023, with completing the project by the end of 2026. Our funding. So again, this project got funded after the Bipartisan Act. We're currently estimated for $704 million. That is for design and construction. We do, with our non-federal sponsor, there will be cost sharing in this program, 35% of the cost. They can either provide that portion through cash or through working kind. So currently they are looking into doing working kind. Once you see the FPV 02 contract, they're proposing, and we agreed for them to do one of the pumping stations. They're going to do that as working kind. So that is one of the options that they have for that as their cost share. So I will now pass it over to our engineering lead, Ben Caldwell, and he'll go into more detail in the contracts that we have.
All right, thank you, Eddie. Good evening. Hopefully you can all hear me. The Freeport and Vicinity Project, FPV as we call it, is it's separated into 3 contracts. The locations for all 3 are there, shown in blue in the map. Next slide, please. Okay, the O2 contract has 3 components. The locations are shown there in the blue circle. The largest component of the O2 contract is construction of a new vertical lift gate, which Eddie mentioned earlier. And the location is there, pointed on the screen, which is approximately at the mouth of the Dow Barge Canal. The other components will be a couple of tenths of a mile of levee and flood wall, and those will be connecting that new vertical lift gate into the protection system. Improvements to the East Levee pump station, which is just north circle above there. The existing pump station, improvements made to that. Eddie just mentioned that as the possible work in kind. And the third component is, the other blue circle is the overflow structure there in the Val Barge Canal. Next slide, please. Okay, the 03 contract, as you can see, location in Old River area. It includes a little over 3 miles of flood wall replacement. Eddie showed some graphics of that earlier. A little over half a mile of levees to be raised. And where we're building some of those flood walls, there's a couple of road closure gates, and those were illustrated earlier and will be constructed. Next slide, please. In the 04 contract, you can see there highlighted in blue, it's spread out over a greater area. It involves approximately 11 miles of raised of existing levees. You can see the various locations there. It's spread out, and approximately 2 miles of new flood wall. And that's all I have, Eddie.
All right. Thank you, Ben. Now we'll go over, we're going to explain our real estate row, and our chief of real estate, Mr. Tim Nelson, will go ahead and explain some of that.
Good evening. My name is Tim Nelson. I'm the chief of real estate for the Galveston district. So in this project, we're currently in a design phase, and we're in the, lost my place here, I'm sorry. In order to determine the alignment for the project, our contractors and engineers require solid data to be gathered using field surveys and investigations. At this point, the real estate team's responsibility is to obtain the right of entries from property owners to allow our contractors to access private property, collect data data for design of the project. The right of entry formally gives the government and its contractors permission to access private property to conduct field activities, such as land surveys, geotechnical investigations, cultural surveys, and environmental site assessments. Next slide, please. The right of entry packages that the real estate team creates and sends to you include right of entry documents and a signature page, a description and types of surveys and investigations that will take place on your property, a map showing the impacted property, and a contact information form. The contact information form is very important and includes a section of for the property owner to identify any site-specific conditions that you would like to occur on your property. Some examples of that would be, please call before you enter our property, or don't do work on our property at certain times of the day, like early in the morning or late in the evening, and wildlife warnings. Our goal is to be as transparent as possible. We want the landowner to know that the activities that we list on the right of entry form are what our contractors are sent out in the field to do. And I hope this gives you more insight into the right of entry process. Next slide, please. So upon completion of the design phase and identification of all the right-of-way needs, the Velasco Drainage District will be issued a notice to proceed to acquire real estate for the project. The Velasco Drainage District is responsible for acquiring all the real estate for this project, and all the real estate will be acquired following the Uniform Relocation Assistance and Real Properties Act of 1970. Right-of-way requirements for this project at this time, and we're in design phase, so we're not done with designing the project, but at this time, there appears to be no homes or commercial buildings that will need to be relocated for the project. Although we're going to do as much work on the project within existing right-of-way as we can, there is going to be additional right-of-way required for the project. We know that at this time. So if your property or portion of your property is identified to be used for the right-of-way, or excuse me, to be acquired for the right-of-way purposes, an appraiser will come out and meet with you and give you the opportunity to inspect the property with him and do an appraisal to estimate the fair market value of the portion that the Velasco Drainage District needs to acquire from you. And you will be offered the fair market value of that property based upon an approved appraisal. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Tim. We will now begin the question and answer portion of the meeting. At this time, we currently only have 2 questions that have been submitted. So as a reminder, just please continue entering questions in the WebEx chat feature as we begin responding to questions. Our first question for our panel is, it looks like this project is going to happen in my neighborhood. I'm wondering how much disruption I'll experience and for how long. Will I be able to use the same roads that I usually use?
So there'll be the contracts, our construction contracts will start construction in 2023. That doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to start constructing in all the areas. So we'll be breaking it down by sections. We'll keep the public aware of where we're doing construction. If we have to, with the roads, there's usually a temporary road towards their house. And then once we're done with that section, the contractor needs to put the road back to its previous. So again, we'll inform the public once we get closer to that. We do have a project website which is going to be updated. We'll keep everybody informed of where we're at with our design and where we're at with awarding our construction contract. And once construction starts, we'll keep it updated to see what specifically each section will be done and when it will be finished.
Thank you, Eddie. Our next question for the panel is, I think my house might be on the line where construction will happen. Should I be worried?
At this point, no. As I said earlier, we have no houses or commercial improvements, buildings that are going to be acquired or relocated for this project. However, as we further the design and fine tune it, that could happen. I can't promise you at this point that it will never happen. But at this point, no, you shouldn't be worried. And as soon as we know that, as soon as we know that we're going to acquire a house, we'll have a public meeting to inform you of that, and you'll be aware of it. But I want you to know that we're going to do everything within our power as designers and real estate specialists to make sure that we don't acquire any more houses or any more property than we required to.
Thank you, Tim. That is all the questions that have been submitted so far. I do want to give it a few moments for anyone who'd like to still submit a question for the panel. In the meantime, we do encourage you to visit the project website that's being shown on screen at this time. Future public information sessions will be posted on this site. So we encourage you to visit that and stay updated on project progress and any additional opportunities for engagement. Still seeing no questions come through. I think we'll go ahead and move to closing remarks. So thank you everyone for your participation this evening. As you think of any further questions for our team, we encourage you to attend the next public information session scheduled for tomorrow, Thursday, September 23rd at 11 a.m. and again at 6 p.m. Kelly, I'll now turn it over to you for closing remarks.
Well, thank you everybody for joining. I hope that even if you come up with a question after we end tonight's meeting, remember that we have a website. We also have an email box. We take all questions. We'll be monitoring those, and we will work to get you an answer as quickly as we can. I also want to point out on the website that we will be opening up a story map for this project in the next couple of weeks, and that story map will also include day-to-day footage from our drones flying over the construction areas so that you can see how we progress over time. And I just want to thank you for taking time out of your busy days to spend a few moments with us and to get to know the project better, start to learn about the team and what we're doing, and keep in mind that we're going to do this again, and we're going to keep doing this again to keep you informed. And with that, I'll say good night. Thank you to the panel, and thanks to our cost share sponsors for joining us, and take care.